Hello, this is Dr. Paul Cottrell, and I'm going to be talking about the new dashboard for the bird flu H5N1 outbreak that's been going on in the United States. So before we do that, you can click the link in this video, the-studio-reykjavik.com, and you can get to my website. There's lots of things that I offer on my website. I offer classes for pulmonology and immunology for $50. You get 22 lectures in pulmonology and 16 lectures in immunology. They're both $50 each. You can go to my store. You can get ebooks. I got a few, 8 ebooks. I also have nanosilver products, structural nanosilver products. I got liquids, gels, toothpaste, soap, lozenges and drops, probiotics, multivitamins. And then I also have C60, which is a very strong antioxidant. You can get it in a 2-ounce, a 4-ounce, or an 8-ounce. You can get it in extra virgin olive oil, coconut oil, or avocado oil. Now, I also have a plethora of supplements: D3, vitamin C, omega-3, ashwagandha root, Goodnight formula, probiotics, resveratrol, vitamin B complex, turmeric, magnesium and zinc, lignans, which is a powder that helps to boost up your immune system, collagen, digestive enzyme complex that helps to break down carbohydrates, lipids, and proteins, and clarity factor, which helps for mental acuity. In addition, I also have these bars that I've partnered up with Rainbow Herbals. We've created 2 deodorants. One's a citrus deodorant, another is a peppermint lavender tea tree deodorant. These deodorants are made from all essential oils from the Himalayas. And we also have a bar that's called the Even Better Bar. This bar is for a skincare product, but also helps to heal wounds. So if you have a bug bite, you put it on, it'll stop the itching and it'll help to heal the bug bite. In addition, if you have a sore muscle, it'll help to relieve the muscle ache. You can apply it on your skin if you have a cut, it'll help to heal it, or an abrasion, minor burn. You can apply it on acne. In addition, you can use it as just an everyday skincare product, and it'll help to smooth the skin. So it's a dual purpose product. These products are made from all essential oils from the Himalayas. It's very high quality. So please go to the store, the-studio-reykjavik.com, and get these high quality bars. In addition, I have curated these anti-aging boxes that help to slow down the aging process and boost up your immune system. And they're at different price points, and different things are in them. For example, the advanced skincare has the gel, the vitamin C, the resveratrol, the collagen, and the C60. Whereas the anti-Fauci box is max 35, vitamin D3, magnesium and zinc, turmeric, and ashwagandha. So it's self-evident on why I named it this, and this will help to neutralize pathogens, boost up your immune system, and bring down inflammation. So so I have these anti-aging boxes that will help to boost up your immune system, and then these classes, like I said before, you can sign up for the pulmonology class for $50 or the immunology class for $50. You learn a lot in these classes. In pulmonology, here's a whole list of each lecture. You get a PDF and a video. And in the immunology, here's a list of everything you learn in the immunology. You learn a lot for $50. So please go to my store and help support my work. In addition, if you'd like to help donate, you can donate on the homepage at the very bottom. You can donate through Stripe, PayPal, or buy me a coffee. So let's begin with this H5N1. All right, there is this avian flu dashboard. Okay. And I'm going to start doing videos on this on a regular basis just to see the count. I want to make a statement before we go through this that the human to human transmission is extremely low and not to worry about it. But this may be an evolving thing that will most likely affect livestock, which may affect prices for poultry and cattle, and maybe even dairy products. So, but we also have to kind of dive into the detail to see how bad is this really, from a human perspective in terms of health. Very low on the worry side spectrum. Don't worry about it. But in terms of prices, you know, for food, that may become problematic. And if you are a person that has a farm, there may be some sort of government intrusion on your farm, forcing, you know, certain protocols to be done with the livestock, either calling or, you know, some sort of inoculation, whatever. Okay, but you know, just keep that in mind that there's an economic part to this, and then there's also you know, a government regulation part of this, and then the human health part. And the worry for each one of those buckets is different. All right, so we have a summary here for humans. Since 2022, there's only been 2 cases. All right. So obviously this is not a big thing. One case was from poultry and another case was from dairy cows. All right. So that first case was in April. It's interesting it's in April. But, you know, it was in April in 2022. And you have the recent one on April in 2024. Okay. I believe that one was in Texas. If we do the full report, maybe it will say where it was. I think it was in Texas. Yeah, the report by Texas. Okay, so wild birds, we have poultry and dairy cattle. All right, wild birds detected 9,352 as of 5/14. I'm recording this on 5/16. 5/16/2024. All right, so as of 5/14, the birds detected 9,352. Poultry affected 90,892,846. Okay, that seems like a big number. All right, but we're going to dive into the little bit of the details here. Dairy cattle, states with outbreaks in cattle, 9. There's 9 states. Okay, jurisdictions with bird flu in wild birds, 50. States with poultry outbreaks, 48 states. So we have almost, you know, almost all the states in the union, the United States, have an outbreak, but they're not of equal weight. That's important. All right. Dairy herds affected, 46, and we'll go into the details. Okay, so let's dive into a little bit of the details about the poultry effect, because that seems like such a big number, right? Okay, let's just look into, you know, what's really going on here. Okay, affected states, 48 states, almost, you know, almost all the states in the United States. Counties affected, 524. Reported outbreaks, 1,138. Okay, this is a little bit of a map of what's going on in the affected counties. Okay, but it's really important to roll through this. So let's just zoom in and let's say, you know, let's zoom into Michigan, let's say, for example, and you look at these, okay, it'll tell you the flock size and the outbreak. Okay, and what kind of poultry, all right? So you roll over it, that's the flock size is 100. And there's only one outbreak. Oh, flock size 70, one outbreak. Flock size in this one is 60, so this must be a commercial farm. So there's a commercial, so see, you can see that there's different types of poultry. The WOAH, it might be like a small farm. I'm not sure what WOAH really means. But this one right here, commercial turkey meat. Okay, 67,200, one outbreak. And it doesn't seem like it's that big. In Muskegon, 114,500 flock size, only 3 outbreaks. Commercial turkey. 104,000, one outbreak. So you start to see the pattern here. Large flock size, very few outbreaks. You listen to the news and it makes it sound like everything in the herd, everything in the flock is getting affected. It's not even come close. Okay, this is poultry and commercial meat, birds and commercial deer breeder. All right, 17,000. So there's multiple species on this farm. Only 4 outbreaks. All right, what about, all right, this is a small one, non-poultry, 20. Here's a 60. There's only 1 outbreak. So, I mean, your outbreaks aren't that much. That was Michigan. Now, we kept on hearing a lot about Texas. What about Texas? What's going on with Texas? Because that's primarily the cow, but we've heard that the cows got it from the birds. So there should be, quite a bit of bird outbreak, right? One. See? So it's not even in the same species for poultry. It's not, there's not much of an R naught value. One, right? But there's so many counties that there's, it builds up. So there's 3 outbreaks. Flock size, all right? 1, 3. One. All right, now let's go to Nevada. I mean, out of 1,000, out of 1,600, there's 1 outbreak. Out of 189,600, there's only 8. So something doesn't jive. All right, so they're saying there's 90 million birds affected. All right, but there's only reported outbreaks 1,139. Right? So when they're saying affected, this is this number, the point I'm making is a misleading number. This is the proper number to focus on. The 1,138 outbreaks in the United States. All right. All right. So let's just read this through together. Highly pathogenic avian influenza, which is a scary word, just meaning that it spreads within, a particular species, not spreading to humans. Only one has got it. All right. All right. So this H5 virus has been detected in U.S. wild aquatic birds, commercial poultry, and backyard or hobbyist flocks beginning in January of 2022. Now, we have to remember there was research going on starting, I think, April of 2021 with labs in the United States, China, and the UK. These are the first detections of H5 virus. So this is this H1N1 thing that we're talking about in the US since 2016. Preliminary genetic sequencing and RT-PCR, reverse transcription PCR testing on same virus specimens shows that these viruses are this H5N1 HPAI virus with this clade 2.3.4.4. So, you know, birds affected and outbreak. I just think that this number seems to be misleading, because when you're looking over here, you know, you got flock size and what's the outbreak. You know, and outbreaks are relatively small. All right. So, you know, yeah, you could have an outbreak and then, you know, there's the potential for these flocks to be infected, but it doesn't, you know, not the whole, it's not like the whole flock is infected. They're just potentially. This is more potential than actual. Now let's download some data here. Okay. And if we download the data, hopefully you can see this. I think you can. And flock size. If I look at the whole flock size, it should be about 90 million. And voila, we got 90 million. Okay. So the point here is that this is not the number of animals that have been affected. This is just the potential number of animals that can be affected. All right. All right. These are the counties. Counties that have reported bird flu outbreaks are marked in purple on the map. Select a state that has an outbreak to zoom in. More information is available about the outbreak by hovering over. Okay. So you just have flock size and the actual number of outbreaks. So this is a really misleading number. This is the real number we're really focusing on. How many outbreaks do we have? Okay. This is potential, but this is what's really happening. Now, maybe this number is way understated, you know, and as they're reporting, this number really climbs. But, you know, there is a problem within the poultry across the country, but they're in low numbers. That's the point I'm making. They're all in low numbers. Even in the East Coast, there are low numbers, right? You know, you got one, sometimes you get a 5. I think the highest one we've seen is an 8 so far. 11, there's 11. There was 7 out of 500,000. 257,000, there's 11. You know, so I just, you know, this, yeah, you know, it's a problem, but it's not really a problem. You know, it's concerning for the birds, but it's not that big of a problem. And this is part of the reason why it's not going to be transmitted to humans too efficiently, because it's not even being transmitted in the poultry efficiently. Okay, so now let's go back one. All right. Okay, so we did the you know, poultry affected. This is misleading. This to me is misleading. Unless I'm misunderstanding their definition of outbreak. All right. And their definition of affected. This should be potentially affected. Let's see here. Now, wild birds. Let's take a look at that. What's going on with the wild birds? Okay, so now we have birds detected, 9,352. Okay. It doesn't seem like a whole lot since we have a lot of birds. Okay. It's all right. So let's just do the same thing. Where are the wild birds being affected? Okay. Well, we had Texas seemed to be the ground zero for all this. 3 birds affected or detected, I should say. 1 bird, 37 birds in Oklahoma. 2 birds, 2 birds, 1 bird. See, 15 birds. See, it's low numbers. So it's in the wild bird, and then it gets transferred to the cattle or the poultry. Okay. But the take rate is low, even from wild bird to farm animal. Here's a 32. Okay. Detected. So it has it, but let's go back. All right, this is Texas Freestone 32. Okay, 32 birds that had H5N1 detected. So let's just go back to poultry and let's go and find, can we find Tillman or Stone, what was it? Freestone. Freestone isn't even on here. Okay, what's closer? Let's, so I'm not so familiar with Texas. All right, so we were looking at, where was it? Freestone. Freestone is right here. Okay, so Freestone. Okay. And then we go to the wild birds. You would think the wild bird would be by Freestone, right? 32. We have 32 for Freestone. And then the Freestone is not even one of the areas for the cattle. So, I mean, it's just the point I'm making is that there's just not, the transmission is not that good. Okay. So we go back to the birds, okay? Wild birds. Okay, so it's all over the map, but when you really look and zoom in, it's 1 detected, in most cases 11 birds. But these birds, even here's a 40, okay? Nevada Churchill, all right? Nevada Churchill, all right? Poultry. What was affected in Nevada with poultry? Like all of Nevada is 1, 2, 3, 4. I mean, three cases of poultry. Meanwhile, with birds, with wild birds for Nevada, 2. You know, 2, 6, 7, 8, 9, 49, 50. So, I don't know, 60, 70, 80, about 100 or so, maybe just under 100 wild birds detected. So wild birds detected, but not many that really transmitted to poultry. Okay. Now, again, they're just collecting the data, so maybe it takes a little while to actually, be able to catch up here, what's really going on. But it just seems that you got wild birds, right? And that the actual outbreak is extremely low in poultry, and this number is way misrepresented. This is the livestock size. That's potential, not the actual outbreak. Okay, now, see, detection, widespread, let's see, wild birds. What are they saying here? No, this is just some additional sporadic, this is a perfect phrase, sporadic outbreaks. Okay, this is the point I'm making. Detections are higher in the fall and the spring because we continue to see wild birds spreading virus as they mitigate or migrate. They migrate to their seasonal homes. Okay. Ooh. Commercial livestock. This is the last 30 days. Birds affected 2.71 million. Number of birds on confirmed infected premises. So this is, again, number of birds on confirmed infected premises, not infected birds. And this number doesn't even tie to the 90 million, but this might be just with just a few of these states. I'm sure this was May 15th. Oh, this was 2022, 2023. All right. I'm continuing to interpret this number as the number of flock, the number of birds, the number of birds total in the United States that are on the commercial farms and in backyards and hobbyists, but not the total infected, because the outbreak is lower than this. So this is a misleading number. It looks like a scary number. When you actually dive into it, it's like, well, there's only 1,138 outbreaks. And these flocks, like right here, just randomly looking at it, 27,521, and there's two that have an outbreak of the flock size. So that's just, now, could it get worse over time? Yes. And I think that's why they're doing the surveillance. Okay. All right. So conclusion, birds in some area, wild birds in some areas have a decent number of detected H5N1. But the spread from those birds to the poultry is diminished. It is happening, but it's diminished. Okay, now let's take a look at the cattle, the dairy cattle. Okay. All right, now we have dairy cattle. Now we have it in 9 states. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 states. So Texas, New Mexico, Colorado, Kansas, Idaho, South Dakota, Michigan, Ohio, North Carolina. Okay. And this doesn't have an overhead thing. It doesn't break it down per state. Unfortunately. Probably have to. Okay. So there's the states that have the 9. Oh, okay. Herds affected. Okay, 46. Okay, so we'll get the full report from that. Okay, here we go. Okay, out of the 9 states, where, come on, I want the full report. 46 animals have been affected. Unfortunately, you have to download the. They tell us how many been affected per state? No. No. Would have been nice if they told how many per state without diving into it. I don't know. They haven't built up the whole overhead yet, unfortunately. Okay, I'd have to dive in a little bit more. But the point here is that there's a conclusion to be drawn from this. All right. You have H5N1 in wild birds. It's a certain type. Okay. And that number seems to be increasing and spreading across the United States. And what has been detected is over 9,000 wild birds. Okay. But there's only been about 1,300 outbreaks in poultry. All right. So the transmission from these 9,352 birds is about 1,300 in the outbreak for poultry. And that's this, no, I'm sorry, 1,100. 1,100. Okay, so it's a low transmission coming across. In addition, it's only affected 46 cattle. Dairy cows. Okay. Now it's affected one person in Texas. There's 9,352 birds detected. So it's obviously much higher than that in wild birds. And there's only 1,130 something outbreaks within poultry and 46 dairy. So this even though it sounds like it could be like worrisome, it's really not that big of a deal. So again, I come to the conclusion that human to human transmission, or even human from animal transmission, is low. And it's also low between birds that are wild to actually livestock. Now there may be because they're caged and they're in a building, and all that, and that might be part of the reason why the transmission is low. All right. And the transmission to cattle, which is a different species, is low too. All right. Now think about this. Birds to poultry, wild birds to poultry, they're avian. They're similar, they're similar species. All right. And that transmission is low because there's only 1,130 outbreaks out of 90 million poultry. All right. And then out of the 9,352 detected wild birds, there's only 56 cattle. And out of that 56 cattle, it transmitted one case for humans. So this H5N1, I am not worried about. Now, what could happen is that over time, there's more poultry that's affected. Most likely the poultry will be affected at a faster rate than the cattle. All right. It doesn't even seem, since we've been covering this H5N1 outbreak, it doesn't even seem that it spreads very well in the cattle herd. All right. So there's this, there's the potential for a problem, but there is no problem, is the point I'm making. And that not to worry about it. But we do need to just cover it to see if it emerges. Now, why is this not really a problem for humans? There is something called a complex. There's a 4-protein complex for the replicase. All right. Mutations have to happen in a certain way for that complex to be able to replicate well in humans. All right. For the virus to replicate well. These mutations have to happen with this complex, these 4 proteins that come together to help to replicate the virus. All right. Now, depending on where you take your samples, there's certain mutations are more for certain proteins within this complex, this 4 protein complex. The far majority of the mutations is the PB2 protein for this replication complex. But more has to happen and stay mutated. Sometimes there's a mutation and there's a loss mutation, kind of reverts back. Okay, so it has to stay mutated. It has to be a consistent mutation. And over these mutations, the replicase proteins move towards being able to replicate the virus better. And the NA protein has to truncate for this to be a problem for humans. Okay. Now, over time, perhaps, as these birds, as these wild birds spread the H5N1 in poultry and in cattle, perhaps over time there is some mutation that takes place that probably would stay within those species, and maybe there's a little bit more spread between cattle, or maybe a little bit more spread between poultry. But right now, the spread between poultry is not that bad. When you're only talking about 1,130 outbreaks out of 90 million poultry. And then there's only 46 cattle affected. So it just seems as though there's a push to scare people to inoculate in the fall. That's my take on it. All right. I'll continue watching this and seeing if something emerges, but it's not really that big of a deal. Now, perhaps something does emerge. Now there's, a few things to think about here. And I've said this in a couple videos ago. There can be something that emerges naturally from this zoonosis that leads to, problems within livestock or even in humans. Low probability, but it could happen. Or there could be, some nefarious actors that ride on this opportunity to release something, and then something more problematic could happen, and they're trying to hide a release, under a zoonosis. That's possible, but I think unlikely. So I'm not really, this is not the big, the big influenza scare that I would, that I would think would be happening. I think that's down the road. How far down the road, I don't know, but I don't think it's this. But let's just pay attention to what is being cataloged, through the surveillance, and see, how this, emerges. This most likely will die out. It'll affect livestock more so than humans, and I don't think it's really going to affect livestock that much. And I think that humans are going to overreact, or the government's going to overreact, and perhaps force inoculations within these livestock, and or cull some of the flocks and some of the herds, unfortunately. But probably not the herds so much, because the transmission between the herds is pretty low, and the poultry, the transmission there is pretty low too. So it's probably going to affect, if there is overreach by government, it's going to affect dairy prices, cattle prices, perhaps meat depending on if they start culling the herds of meat cattle, and the price for poultry, and probably the price for eggs. That's only if the government, oversteps its authority and really tries to prophylactically shut this thing down. But it just doesn't seem to me that this is really that big. Is it worse than other prior years? Yeah, but it doesn't mean that it's going to be like catastrophic. Our sensitivity to what we went through in 2020, kind of is it's a high bar, right? Right. And I would say that this is just on the low side of worry. Now, what is interesting is I believe there is a map showing, maybe it was, I'll have to find it. I thought there was, maybe it was in here. I'll have to find it. It was showing like the worry levels, and it was like it's low. I'll have to find it. I'm not really a big fan of the whole CDC website. I find it kind of clunky. But highlights in history. Yeah. So that's my take on it. I wouldn't worry about it right now. Right now. But let's just watch the data and see how it emerges. It probably will just die out and it's going to be a nothing burger. So thank you for listening. Please go to my store, the-studio-reykjavik.com, and get the products that I offer. And please help support my work by donating through Stripe, PayPal, or Buy Me a Coffee. And make sure that you subscribe to all my channels. I have 7 channels. I have 4 channels on YouTube. Links are in the description of this video. I have Brighteon, Bitchute, and Rumble. Please subscribe to all of them, because I get strikes periodically on YouTube, and that prevents people to responding in the premiere. So please subscribe to all my channels so you can get the latest on my perspective on different topics, especially this ongoing H5N1. Thank you for listening and have a nice day.